SPED 2010 students. I hope everyone had a great week last week. Just before we get into Module 2, I wanted to recap what we worked on last week. So last week we began our first module, Module 1, which is really giving you an overview of teaching in today's inclusive classrooms. One of our main focus that we had last week was IDEA, the Special Education Law, Individuals with Disability Education Act. And one of the things I just want to premise and kind of express to you is that if you didn't get a chance to look at the Nearpod lesson that I provided for you, I want you to go ahead and look at that because it had some very important things. Now, obviously, you had your Module 1 quiz and you had your note sheet, but this presentation that I created for you really walks through what is the IDEA and what does it stand for, and it really talks about the different categories of disabilities that IDEA accepts, and then also goes a little step further and starts talking about Section 504 and what that is. So it really discusses both Part B and C under IDEA, and it's important for you to be able to distinguish between both of them and what the law is about. So please make sure if you didn't get a chance to look at that presentation that you go ahead and click through it. So that will actually also help you complete the homework assignment that you had to submit to Dropbox. The other thing I wanted you to take note of that was due last week was the service learning application. So please make sure that you get that in as well. And something else I want to make sure that you are completing is the required documentation that you are to submit to teams for your service learning. So at this point, you should already be scheduling your background check. If you work for an employer and you've had a background check, you should have completed the employment verification form. Now, where you will submit that, because there's not a place for it, you will be submitting that under the VECHS section into Teams. So one of the things that you will complete under the pre-service learning application section is your application was to be submitted, but you have something called a VECHS waiver. And that's something that also has to be submitted to Teams as well. So you will need to make sure you're clicking on that and that you're completing that form and submitting that as well, because that is a required document. So if you still do not know how to join Teams, there is a video here that shows you how to join the Teams with the code that I created for you. And then also, if you're still unfamiliar at how to upload a document, there is a video for you that walks you through step by step. So with the BEX form, please make sure you get that filled out completely as well as the application. You also should be purchasing your liability insurance as well as your TBI fingerprint and background check. So please make sure you check that out because there are two options. And you will just be submitting your proof of purchasing the insurance. Now, as far as your TBI background check, if you had completed service learning, say spring of last year, please let me know. That way I can go ahead and look at that, so you'll have to send me an email. If you have any questions about service learning, please make sure that you reach out to me, and then we can take a look at what you have and any questions you might have. So now that we had talked about IDEA, we are actually moving into Module 2, which is Introducing Universal Design for Learning. Now, the book in Chapter 1 really talked a little bit about introducing you to what it was and how it plays a role in special education. Well, this week, we're going to specifically look at universal design for learning and how we can use that in inclusive classrooms. So the first thing I want you to look at is going to be your module overview and outcomes as well as the standards. And this would include your Council of Exceptional Children standards as well as the INTAS teacher professional standards. And then any keywords and concepts that you will be looking at that would connect to our reading. You also have a section that I provided you with resources that tells you what you will be reading in your textbook chapters. I have included the PowerPoint slides that go with your chapter reading textbook, and then I have a link here about Bloom's taxonomy and how that is connected to our module 2. Once you complete all of that, there is a section down here that is called activities and assessments. So you'll see here there's a few things that you have to do. So you will take your module 2 quiz, which you'll see when it will close. And remember, you have multiple opportunities while the window is open to take the quiz more than one time if you didn't do so well the first time, which I encourage students to do. You have your assignment, which you will be creating a universal design for learning lesson plan with the instructions there that go along with the textbook chapter. You also have 2 things that are going to be due to teams, and some of you may have already completed your VEX waiver form, but that will be submitted to teams, as well as your service learning release hold harmless. Now, if you've already went ahead and purchased your Aon insurance or have purchased STA, go ahead and submit your proof of purchase into Teams in your notebook under your name, and also submit the VEX waiver form. Now, if you were a student who already had completed the employer verification form because you work as a sub or in a school system, there is no separate place that says employer verification form. You will be submitting that under Teams, under the VEX waiver section, and that's where that will go. And as always, if you have any questions about anything for service learning or working in the module, please reach out and I'll be more than glad to meet with you over the phone, or we could even set up a Teams meeting to go over this. All right, I hope you have a great second week of content working in Universal Design for Learning, and I look forward to speaking to you guys real soon. Until next time, take care and have a great week.